I've got a multitude of complimentary plays for this Saturday college football card, but before I get there, just a quick reminder, you know watching me over the years, and I'm a big believer that when you're on a roll, that's when you press the action. You never walk away from the table when you've got a hot hand. And guys, I've won 10 of my last 14 releases, and I'm already 5-1 in football this year. Thursday night, hit another normal top-rated 15-dime play with the Indians. Last night, hit a raised-the-bar 20-dime release on the Oakland A's on the run line. That was raised-the-bar 20-dime winner, number 22 out of 31 overall and 4 out of 5. And today, that puts me in the position to go big time, because there was a game that I spotted last Sunday, the minute the college football lines came out, that I knew I was going to go unload on if the week progressed as planned. And it did. I'm on a red hot roll going for winning day number 11 out of 15 overall. And today, the 17th ever 30-dime release of my career in college football. It's on your game between Miami of Florida and Florida State. Now, the last time I had to play this big in college football, it was in the semifinals of the College Football Championship Series last year in the Fiesta Bowl in December, when Clemson took care of business against Ohio State. That play is as strong as this play. And just like that one, you get it as the half-price play of the day simply by using coupon code HALF, HALF, as I continue to show you that you do not have to spend big money to make big money. This play is twice as big as the 15-dime play. Then I'm 3-0 in the NFL, including the Ravens last Sunday. And again, I'm 5-1 in football this year, and I'm going for today. And let me just remind you guys, listen, this play is big, right? But I'm not telling you to go take a second mortgage on the house. I'm not telling you to take money off the table that's earmarked for the kids' tuition or putting food on your table. I'm telling you that if you've been playing with me, then you've accumulated that bankroll as well. I'm telling you that if you have that extra to put down, then you're in the position to do so, then do it. But remember, as I've said since I had my national sports talk show back in the 90s, there are no guarantees in gambling. Look it up in the dictionary, if people have dictionaries any longer. You don't find the words guaranteed in gambling on the same page. If I win this game, I'll be here tomorrow. If I lose this game, well, you know, the sun will still rise in the east and set in the west tomorrow, and I will still be 4-0 and have a 15-dime play on a game I love in the NFL tomorrow. That's the way it is. Trust me. You know, there are bigger things in life. I mean, that's how it goes. So anyway, with that being said, all your other discounts and coupon codes are over on the homepage of the site. Let's talk about the games here that I opted not to choose from. The games that I always like to say that I liked, but for one reason or another, they had a little wart here or there. And I'll run these in reverse chronological order. A game that I think is one of the most fascinating on the card is the BYU contest against Troy. You know, BYU looked like just, well, listen, the second coming of sliced bread in its opener against Navy. But in retrospect, was it because Navy was so pathetic? Because Navy, admittedly, as their coach pointed out, because of the COVID-19 issues, took quarantining a little to the extreme and didn't really have any contact practicing during camp, and it showed. The players were gassed defensively and their tackling was just pathetic, and consequently BYU absolutely rolled over them in a 55-3 win. They held Navy to 149 total yards in that contest, held their option to 119. Navy had quarterback issues in that game as well, and BYU's offense was just great. 580 yards total, 301 on the ground. But that game was 19 days ago. And now BYU has had its own COVID-19 issues because Provo area has been hit hard by the virus here. It caused the cancellation or postponement of last week's scheduled game against Army. And again, now you had this BYU team that got off to a great start. You had to take away the normal practice schedule, break everything down into small groups. You have a team that hasn't played for nearly 3 weeks, and you're asking them, hey, let's get back into gear. You were going to have some 6,000 fans at Lavelle Edwards Stadium tonight. Now it's going to be fanless. So that takes one advantage away from them. Now, Troy is traveling 1,900 miles for this game. And Troy, by the way, Troy's in Alabama. And Troy is also going to have to play at elevation and in altitude because Provo is about 4,500 feet above sea level. Troy did win against Middle Tennessee State in its opener 47-14, outgaining the Blue Raiders 496 to 241. But listen, Middle Tennessee State was pathetic in its opener against Army, so I somewhat discount that. And the Troy quarterback, a sophomore by the name of Gunnar Watson, looked pretty damn good in his first career start. 26 for 37, 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. And their ground game produced 240 yards. But again, you're looking at a number at 14.5 points. If this game was played a week ago, I'm all over BYU, and it may have been my best bet for the day. I like BYU in this spot. I still think BYU because they have a strong ground game, the bigger size offensive line, and an edge defensively. But I just wonder whether or not they can cover this big of a number. So BYU gets relegated to a free selection. Keep this also in mind. This Troy team, 0-3 is a double-digit dog a year ago, and it's a Troy team that gave up 35 points a game a year ago too. So I'm going to go with BYU still, though, in this contest. Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite at South Carolina. You may recall last year, Tennessee, October 26th, was hosting South Carolina. It was a game where Jeremy Pruitt, who was under big-time pressure and fire last year, was trailing 21-7 at halftime. The Volunteers rallied to win that game 41-21, and that started a season-closing 6-game win streak for the Vols. And suddenly, Rocky Top was happy. Suddenly, Jeremy Pruitt wasn't the worst thing to happen in Volunteer land. Well, on the other hand, for South Carolina, that was a team that finished the season losing 5 out of 6. So now you have Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite in Columbia, a place where they're 1-5 straight ups with the lone win in 2014 in the last 6 meetings. And they're laying 3.5 points. Well, listen, I think it's going to be a field goal game, so I'm obviously buying down the half point here with Tennessee, but I'm willing to give them the shot in this contest. Because they have a veteran offensive line. They've got 16 starters back. They have the experienced quarterback in here. But, again, why does this game have a wart? Because the Vols lost some considerable time about 10, 12 days ago because of some COVID issues, because of some contact tracing as well. But I just can't really get behind South Carolina. You know, they changed our offensive coordinator. They brought in the former Colorado State coach, Mike Bobo, the ex-Georgia quarterback from years ago, to be their new OC. Their new quarterback, last year it was the freshman Ryan Helinski, who had a good season being a freshman. But instead, this year it's going to be Colin Hill, the ex-Colorado State quarterback who played under Bobo, who has had a number of significant knee injuries. He's playing there and won the starting job as a grad transfer. But I just don't know how much talent this South Carolina team has offensively. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I will go and buy the half-point down and go with Tennessee in this contest. On your early card, is there any team in greater revenge today than Oklahoma? Remember when the Sooners went to Manhattan last year, a 23.5-point favorite, and ended up losing that game 48-41? You don't think the Sooners want revenge today? Well, so do the odds makers. That's why they have Oklahoma installed as a 28-point favorite. And it didn't help that Kansas State managed to lose its season opener at home to Arkansas State, making this line even more unwagerable. Was that a word? Unwagerable? We'll work on that tomorrow. But anyway, listen, Oklahoma looked good for what can be considered the one quarter they did play in their opening game with the redshirt freshman Spencer Rattler, 14 for 17 in his debut, 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, basically playing about 2 quarters in a 48-0 rout of Missouri State. Listen, it was 31-0 at the end of the first quarter, and at the end of the first quarter of that game last week, Oklahoma had outgained the Bears 236 yards to 1. So did that game really tell us anything? No. But the home team has covered 4 straight in the series. Kansas State has some real question marks in its secondary. And if you're going to play the game, why not take Oklahoma? Would I take Oklahoma? No. But I'm just saying, I handicap the game, and that's my thought process in here. Your final play, I like Cincinnati minus the 13 today at home against Army. I know Army's off to a 2-0 start, but Army's also coming off that COVID-19 inspired week off last week because of the postponement against BYU. And let's think about who Army played. They had their opener against a Middle Tennessee State squad that had like under 10 days to prepare for their option. Big advantage, Middle Tennessee State going on the road, taking on an Army team that had been consistently practicing to play somebody. Army blew them out. Then Army played UL Monroe, another team that wasn't prepared. Big advantage, Army. Cincinnati opened up with a 55-20 win against Austin Peay last week. Okay, Austin Peay's a nothing team. Okay, we understand that. It was a whitewash. But I find it interesting that a couple of years ago in Luke Fickell's first season, since 2017, Cincinnati played Navy. And they were not prepared to take on the Navy triple option attack, and Navy just crushed them 42-32 and had 569 yards of total offense. So in 2018, they had a rematch, and that time Fickell got involved more with the offense. Defense, they changed things up, threw an extra linebacker, played 8 men up front, held Navy to 171 yards and won 42-0. So playing an option team, not that unusual for Cincinnati. Plus, let's not crown Army as a top 20 team. Let's remember how bad Army was a year ago. They've beaten 2 cupcakes, guys. UL Monroe and Middle Tennessee State. And Cincinnati, playing at home, is a 13-point favorite? Yeah, I'll lay the points with Cincinnati. I've got no problem with that. In fact, of all these complimentary plays, I like Cincinnati number 1, BYU number 2, Cincinnati number 1, BYU number 2, Tennessee number 3, and Oklahoma, because they're a 4-touchdown favorite, as number 4. That'll do it. Wish you well, and talk to you again tomorrow.